During the pandemic, umakyat talaga yung number of dog owners because people cope differently from the pandemic.
So many people get puppies, kittens, because they're cute. Eventually, when they're no longer cute, when they get sick, they abandon them, so they end up being stray animals.
Of course, your commitment to time to visit the vet, be able to look after yung kailangan ng pet mismo.
Studies show that owning a pet has a number of physical and mental health benefits. Caring for a pet can even lower stress and anxiety. So it's only right that we give our furry friends the care they need. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. Join me as we learn more about the do's and don'ts of responsible pet ownership. Welcome to Med Talk Health Talk. Owning a pet is not just a commitment, but it is a full-time responsibility. To tell us more about her experience, let's welcome Malu Perez. She's the founder of the Potion Project. A lot of people might have heard about the Potion Project. Of course, your advocacy is towards responsible ownership of animals, but it's a little bit more than that. Tell us about it.
Potion Project really started 5 years ago because of dogs on death row. They were not even for euthanasia, they were for gunshot. Without really planning to start an organization or put up a shelter, that experience at the pound, standing next to the hole where they were supposed to be buried, looking into the eyes of voiceless, helpless animals, there was just no way that I will stop with rescuing that first batch of dogs.
Tell us now if it's responsible ownership of pets is what can sort of change the status quo right now when it comes to pets. How can the viewers, what can they do to help with the Potion Project?
Yeah, well, honestly, for Potion Project, we really advocate for responsible pet parenting. I mean, in the end, no one owns anything in this world. But if you know that you're a pet parent, you do everything for them. And, you know, all of these problems with animal welfare, it all stems because of irresponsible pet ownership. So many people get puppies, kittens, because they're cute. Eventually, when they're no longer cute, when they get sick, they abandon them, so they end up being stray animals being victims of cruelty, stray animals being impounded because a lot of people don't like them, or there's still the stigma on rabies.
Right.
And all of these unwanted animals, all of these reports, they go to shelters like us that we are not funded by the government. And you know, we deal with more than 10 million strays in the Philippines.
Right.
So responsible pet parenting is so important because people have to think that it's a lifetime commitment. You know, they're not just for holidays, they're not just for when they're cute.
Right.
We're very much advocates of responsible pet parenting.
So tell us about what is the end goal of the Potion Project. You mentioned so many things very passionately, which I commend you for. You started all of this. What do you want to see in 5, 10, 15 years with Potion Project?
So Potion Project's mission is to rescue, rehabilitate, and rehome animals. But our vision is that one day we no longer have to do that because everyone knows what they're supposed to do. Everyone is kind to animals already. Like, that's the ultimate goal of Potion Project, just to inspire everyone to be kind to animals. So 5 years, 10 years from now, we hope that the government will do their part because even if there were 10, 20 more Potion Projects, it's just not doable. We hope that, you know, there will be more people helping shelters because all shelters in the country are full. We don't get any support from the government, but we get hundreds of reports every day. But their ultimate call for everyone, let's be responsible pet owners. One of the best ways we can help animal welfare and shelters like us is to be responsible pet owners ourselves.
Being responsible pet owner is one thing, but you also mentioned about people who want to help. I'm sure a lot of people who watch you, who have just heard you right now, and who have had pets, feel that bond that they can have with a pet, and it's like they want to stand up for their rights because the pets can't do that on their own. If someone would like to help with the Potion Project, how can they do that?
If there's anyone who wish to help our organization, The Voiceless Animals, you can contact us on Facebook, Instagram, we're on Twitter. We also have a website, it's potionproject.org.ph. We're a volunteer-based organization. We basically run through donations. So we hope people can consider donating, not just to our shelter. There's so many shelters also. Please consider adopting from the pound. Volunteer at our shelter. Our shelters are open to everyone. So, even if you don't have the money, if you don't have the resources, every one of us have, we have been gifted by the talent really to help out. We just turned 5 and our ultimate battle cry is we can all do something. So regardless of your background or where you came from, there's always something that we can do. And let us remember that they cannot speak up for themselves, so we have to do it for them.
Excellent, excellent. And I'm glad that you're the voice of so many animals and pets out there. And thank you for organizing and starting a Portion Project. And hopefully in 5 to 10 years, I get to talk to you again. And we check off some of those wishes off that list. So thank you so much, Malu Perez, for being here, founder of Portion Project, sharing your vision and telling the viewers how to be a responsible pet owner.
Thank you, thank you.
We need to prioritize the welfare of our pets to ensure they stay happy and healthy. More on this when we return. Stay with us here on Med Talk, Health Talk. Do you have a furry pet next to you? There was a survey by the social weather stations, and they reported that in 2023, 64% of households here in the Philippines have pets at home. To tell us more about how we can properly care for our pets, let's welcome on the program veterinarian Dr. Rocky Velasquez from Mount Sinai Veterinary Practice. First and foremost, as a specialist in pets, let's first talk about people who are deciding to own a pet. Automatic ba if they decide to get a dog or maybe cat or maybe even fish, that it will automatically sync with that person, that this will be the pet for them?
Definitely not. So if you're thinking of getting a pet, the first thing you should consider is your lifestyle. Do you have an active lifestyle? Are you the person who would just sit at home the whole day on your laptop? Because it will change the dynamics in the house. The first thing you should consider is the breed. It's a large breed or small breed. If you're the active type that you can run every day, you're running marathons every weekend, then go for an active dog like a German Shepherd, Belgian Malinois. But if you're a type who would just sit on the computer at home or gaming or live a sedentary life, then you should get probably a lap dog, much smaller breed with less responsibilities.
Now let's talk about if someone has decided, tama na yung na-decide nilang type of pet, angkop na sa lifestyle nila. The next thing that they would do is, of course, take care of it, and part of that is feeding and grooming. Let's talk about nutrition for a pet. Proper nutrition. Tama ba? What I feel is good for me, ito yung masarap. Ganun din ang
Not all the time. It depends on your capacity. So there are different food out there for pets depending on the budget.
Right.
So there are really high-end products, premium quality, and there are also mas low-end but mas affordable. There are a lot of different brands that are good, but the thing that you have to consider is really the quality of the food that you're giving. Hindi pwede na straight from the table, like after dinner, the leftovers. This is the common problem, especially during the like 10, 20, 30 years ago, that the leftovers go straight to the dog. If you give straight from the table, the food that the dog is getting is not balanced. The dog has to have like a balanced diet. Protein, carbs, all of those are computed. It's also okay to give home-cooked food. There's no problem with that. But it depends on the commitment of the person. Because every day, you have to commit yourself that you are going to cook for this dog, and you have to compute the specs of nutrition that the dog needs. It takes a lot of research. So the easier route is really to go for a premium quality dog food and stick with it. There are also a lot of different food for humans that are not suitable for dogs. Sometimes if you just give it, so you might get to have that mistake of giving something that's really poisonous to the dog.
Now let's talk about grooming naman. Is it fair to assume, especially those who've never owned pets before, these pets can survive in the wild? I don't need to groom them. They can do whatever they want.
So through thousands of years of evolution, they were already domesticated. So their lifestyle is also domesticated, especially in the Philippines where it's really humid and we import dogs from the north of Siberia going here. So talagang hindi siya agad-agad mag-acclimatize. So what happens is you really have to ensure that there's proper grooming. It depends on the weather, but it also depends on the thickness and how short the coat is.
Basic grooming, when bathing a dog, how often is okay? What type of soap, shampoo do I use? What I use for my own self, can I use it for my pet?
The frequency for puppies, I say that at least once a week, that's the maximum. Kasi their immunity is still low. But when they grow older, during the hot weather conditions, you can do it as much as twice a week with using dog shampoo and dog soap. You cannot use your own soap and shampoo because the pH is different. So it ruins the pH of the skin, all that stuff. So it's very much pretty technical, but don't do it.
Now, speaking of dogs, a lot of people may be hesitant to owning a dog, especially if it's their first time owning a pet, because they associate dogs with rabies. Automatic ba, Doc? Lahat ng dogs may rabies, kaya kailangan bigyan ng anti-rabies shot?
No, that's a big no. It's also a common misconception. Dogs are not born with rabies. Cats are not born with rabies. Nobody is born with rabies. Just like any other disease, it's something that you contract. So just like COVID, it's something that's being transferred from one organism to another. So dogs, in general, when they are born, they don't have rabies. Actually, if you will get bitten anyway by a dog, safest dog to bite you is a puppy. Kasi sure, wala pa yung rabies because there's no exposure.
Right.
So it's a common misconception that they say that the rabies from puppies is much stronger as compared to the adults. That's completely wrong.
But this just entails the importance also of vaccinations. How important is vaccinations? We know with humans, importante ang pag-vaccine, especially sa mga bata. Is that the same thing to do with pets? Dapat hindi ma-skip ang vaccination nila?
Yes, especially the first few weeks of life, the first few months of life of the dog. There are very serious illnesses in dogs that really cause death. So the vaccines are religiously given from 6 weeks, starting 6 weeks of life, up to 15 weeks of life. And then every year na. Most of the vaccines are every year. With rabies, there's a mandate in the Philippines that's been given that all dogs has to be given every year of the rabies because of the prevalence of rabies in the Philippines.
Despite all of this information, is there still good that you get from owning a pet?
Oh yes, well, the reason why dogs get pets is really for companion. The veterinary practice in the Philippines is like different animals, different species. But during the pandemic, umakyat talaga yung number of dog owners because people cope differently from the pandemic, one from the other. A lot of people really got pets for emotional support, things like that. So really owning a pet is a responsibility and really needs like a two-way communication with your veterinarian for the health.
Excellent advice. And thank you so much for joining us here today, Dr. Rocky from Mount Sinai Veterinary Practice, and sharing with our viewers, especially those considering to be first-time pet owners, some basic tips, and most important, have a good relationship with your veterinarian. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Rocky.
Okay, thank you so much for having me.
Many pets express their joy by licking their human owners. Some people are happy to be on the receiving end and even love to kiss their pets. But did you know that pets can carry bacterial organisms in their mouth that may cause illnesses that can be problematic to the elderly or if the person is immunocompromised? Keeping their hygiene at its best and not kissing your pets can help prevent people from getting infections.
Most of us are familiar with the joy pets bring into our lives, but what may be not so evident are the physical as well as mental health benefits they offer. More on this when we return. Keep it here on Med Talk, Health Talk. Is it true that pet ownership is linked to being a happier and healthier you? Well, let's find out from Dr. Karen Sakdalan, who's a registered psychologist and chair of the Psychological Association of the Philippines, PWD Psychology Special Interest Group. Napakaganda talaga ang topic na ito because it tackles pet ownership, but it's not kumbaga, let's clear the air here. It does offer some benefits, but people have to be aware of the responsibility it entails as well. Now, first, let's go over how can owning a pet benefit someone's mental health and emotional health?
In many different dimension ang impact niya sa benefits nito sa atin. For one, there's emotional support for us. They provide us companionship because of their non-judgmental nature. So there is unconditional love, no? Like for example, kahit nasigawan mo, napalo mo, you did something na quite hostile in approach, pero when you call them, they come back, no? So walang judgment doon. And another benefits on the way how we feel safe. So there is a safe space that they provide us security, they foster trust and support, especially for those with mental health conditions.
I would compare owning a pet to some degree. It's like having a child or taking care of a child, meaning it entails a lot of responsibility. Lalong-lalo na when it comes to having a pet since puppy pa or maliit pa lang, a lot of responsibility is there. What are some of the common challenges do you think that might catch potential first-time pet owners by surprise, na it might deal a lot more stress to them than the benefits that you mentioned by owning a pet? We're trying to prepare them na hindi sila magulat na, ay nako, ang hirap palang mag-own ng pet.
Right. Like as mentioned, as there are health benefits, particularly in emotional health natin, on the flip side, meron din itong kaakibat na what we call responsibilities. So for one, there is what we call a long-term commitment. So we know that yung animals, dogs particularly, they have a shorter lifespan compared to human life. So for example, if you are, say, getting a pet and you are committing for the next 15 years to support that new routine, needs ng animal, and the whole gamut of looking after the welfare of the animal, and even the upkeep of your own household, dapat nandoon yung commitment.
Do you think, Dr. K, that some people start to own a pet or decide to own a pet after something that hasn't gone well in their life? Maybe a trauma, maybe a bad breakup. It's sort of, parang ang napapansin ko, they try and not distract, but shift their attention from the trauma, from a bad experience, into something that is more positive or loving. Is this healthy?
Yes, it is healthy. In fact, there are many research that investigated this, and the outcomes was to really increase their ability to recover, those particularly with mental health conditions such as depression, anxiety, even loneliness, and mga post-traumatic stress. These are the ones that yung kanilang interaction and the bond that created within that space of human-animal bond helps mitigate the symptoms of these kinds of disorders.
We really learned a lot from you, especially how the mind works when there is something in play here, this specifically, kung mag-alaga ng pet. Before we go, do you have any tips, any advice for our viewers out there, especially yung mga thinking about becoming a first-time pet owner?
It's really about the proper care. So the proper care of the animal, and that means looking after yung grooming, the basic ones, and feeding, even the health monitoring. So there would be, of course, your commitment to do time to visit the vet, be able to look after yung kailangan ng pet mismo. Establishing certain routine, that means creating your lifestyle altogether. So it comes along with your interaction and the benefits that the animal gives in your lifestyle. So that should be a thoughtful consideration in that.
Thank you so much for joining us today, registered psychologist Dr. K. Sakdalat.
Thank you.
Remember, just as our pets care for us, we need to care for them too and be responsible pet owners. So have your pets spayed and neutered by your local veterinarian. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and thank you for joining us here on MedTalk Health Talk.